welcome everybody to Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last, the broadcast. Yeah. Woo!
That's old jazz stuff.
This is Dr. Willie Jolley and
this is Dee.
Well, we are grateful for all of you who have been sharing that we are on and telling your friends and family members. And thank you so much for
Do you
the
like
hearts.
this music?
That was my music.
30 years ago?
I used to perform it 30 years ago. The CD wasn't finished 30 years, but the CD is on my website. My jazz album, Sunny, and on that Sunny album is Close to You. So if you like that, we're gonna try some new music every week to get y'all in the mood for our show, and we're gonna be upgrading. We're just starting to work on it.
Well, we're trying to figure it out. There you go. We're gonna talk tonight about a subject about self-centered folks in marriage and selfish folks in marriage. We've gotten a lot of commentaries, questions, emails. So we want to make sure people know you can send us your emails. We'll try and address some of the topics that you've suggested or some of the issues that you want. And we won't ever call your name because we want it to be anonymous. So you don't have to worry about us saying. So that goes to what? info@williejolly.com?
info@williejolly.com. info@williejolly.com. New York is in the house. Thank you, Andre Coleman. And so New York is in the house. We got West Virginia in the house. We got Baltimore in the house. We had people as far away as Greece and Africa. So who joined us on a Monday night. It's amazing. Isn't that amazing? Because the time differences.
I was thinking,
that's
when we did the program yesterday, that somebody was on from Australia?
Somewhere. We did an event last night, yesterday evening, on WHUR Home Inspiration with our dear friend, the iconic broadcaster Jackie Gales Webb, who, for those in Washington know, has been the #1 host of the gospel radio programming on WHUR for years. And now she replaced the late, great Patrick Ellis, who passed away a little over a year ago now. And she does 8 to 11, but she's iconic. She's a Hall of Famer, broadcast Hall of Famer. So she has this show on Sundays, and she gets national artists.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. So you can watch it.
It was so nice of her to invite us.
It was great. And you can watch the half-hour program, but we really went in. We got a lot of information in a half hour about our meeting, and then about how people are struggling through the pandemic. So we encourage you to go to HUR Home Inspiration on YouTube, and you can see it. HUR Home Inspiration on YouTube.
So it went up last night.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about, and I want you to recap about code switching just for a moment before we get into the topic today, because I thought that was profound what you shared yesterday.
Well, I think you need to give them this setup.
All right.
If I just
all right, so let me
they won't know what I'm talking about.
all right, so one of the things question was what is the fact that you got this now intense, sometimes fellowship or intense surrounding because of COVID. People are working from home who might not have ever worked from home before, or been around each other 24/7, and now Southeast Washington, Rosa Hodges in the house, and so and now people are kind of stuck with each other, and there are a lot of intense issues that come out of this. And how
there might be no jailbreak. You thought you were going to get out of jail,
but the Delta showed up.
Is making you come back in.
Yeah.
So now you can't stage a jailbreak.
No, you cannot stage a jailbreak. So she asked my wife that, and Dee gave a really profound about how she's handled being with me 24/7. Now, we've been working together for years, and Dee, for those who don't know, is pretty intense when she's doing business with,
I'm a quiet introvert.
Yeah, but you're intense when somebody owes you some money and there's an issue. You go right, like today. Did you holler at the lady?
I did holler, but it was partly drama that
needed to be.
It was necessary for me to act a certain way.
They need a little crazy. They need to see a little crazy.
Sometimes you have to act a little crazy.
All right, because they've been messing with
intentionally.
Yeah, because they've been messing. We've been through a rigmarole. We won't go into that, but we won't even call the company unless something doesn't happen, and then we're gonna talk about it bad. But anyway, but you are intense, but you have this intensity when you're dealing with somebody who is not treating me well or treating us well, particularly treating me well. She goes in on people who don't treat me well. Okay, who are rude or nasty or disrespectful. She will go in. So now let's say you're talking to somebody and I come in the room, or you got to live with me. What happens? You code switch. Talk about that.
I share with Jackie Gill's Web that I learned many years ago to code switch, which is something I also taught our son.
Yes.
Okay, and code switching says that the behavior of one particular set of circumstances, that behavior might not work in another. And let's just say, when I really started talking about code switching, our son went to a private school and had this little brown uniform and a little shirt and everything. When I would pick him up from school, drop him at the basketball court, and he had his one pair of tennis shoes because he got one pair of tennis shoes, one pair of school shoes, and one pair of dress shoes. And the kids would make fun of him because of how he talked, and also because of how he dressed. And I said, you know what? You got to adjust.
What kids would make fun of him?
Oh,
the kids at the basketball court in the
who
neighborhood.
Were already at the basketball court in the neighborhood.
After he's gone to this prep school.
And he had a certain vocabulary and a way of speaking. And I said, you know what? Your neighbors. And so you must learn to adjust. It doesn't mean that your values change, but how you have to communicate and the words that you use, you have to change. So that's what I'm talking about code switching, adjusting to your environment and helping to make the other people feel comfortable about being around you. Now, taking that code switching to the relationship, which is really what I was focusing Jackie on, was that in the work environments, you're intense. You're getting paid to do this. You're trying to collect money. Whatever it is that you're doing, you're not normally with your mate in that environment. Right? But now you're stuck together. Maybe they're on one side of the table and you're on the other, because maybe you don't have enough to have a huge office space that separates you.
Yeah.
So you're intense that you don't normally show that to your mate, because you come home, it's a more relaxed environment, you got the kids, you're doing dinner, you're like, sweetheart, how was your day? But you're sitting across from them and y'all both hollering and dealing with your own situations via work. So how do you adjust? I have to code switch. So 1 minute I can be intense and banging on the table and hollering in the phone, which is what I was actually doing today. I was actually hollering. And I know the lady couldn't hang up on me because she was customer service. And I was like, what are you talking about? Anyway, I went off. I was just so outrageous. I almost had a headache after it did. But when I came to you, my demeanor changes, because that's how I condition myself.
Right.
And in order to effectively communicate with you, I know I cannot be howling and screaming. Because first of all, you can howl and scream louder than me. That is not what I want.
And that's not going to work well.
So I want to influence you. So I know, because I've studied you, the words to use and the demeanor I have with you to get you to at least attempt to listen to me. Because I know, I'm always trying to influence you.
Always.
I am always trying to influence it. Sometimes it does not work. In many instances, it might not work. But we know that we're really trying to influence each other.
I'm trying to encourage and influence and inspire and persuade you to see my way. And most time, my way and your way are pretty similar. Most time.
But I tend to be more bottom line, particularly when it comes to crunching the numbers and everything, and what I think we should do operationally. I would say it like that, because I don't intend to influence you via your presentation of how you speak.
No.
Not now.
Not now. Used to.
By telling you you're jazz speaking and you had to cut that out. But even I had to think when I was going to tell you that your stuff was jacked up. I wasn't going to tell you when you were out speaking to people, because I didn't want to adversely affect your self-esteem.
Yes.
Right?
That's
and
right.
that's because I love you. So
Well, you're smart too.
correct you.
So that's part of what we're going to talk about. Now, one of her friends one time was here visiting, one of her church mates, and I was traveling. And she was in this intense conversation on the phone, and I called on the other phone, and she said, and then, hold on. Hello, sweetie pie. And her friend said, my goodness, how you changed.
But it's second nature now. But you can work on it.
You can, so that goes to where we're going tonight.
Because I can remember when you started traveling and I was home and I had the office and the kids and to figure out what you were doing. And then you would call in. I'm like, I am just too busy to talk with you now. And you would start carrying on this conversation. Okay, I'm done. And I hang up on you.
She goes, okay, talk to you later. Bye. Bam. I'm like, whoa.
And then you would call back.
I call back. I said, don't hang up. I got some more to tell you.
So I was willing to.
But she learned because once she started traveling with me, she realized how important that call was, and for me to connect with her. And I needed to talk to her, not in depth about something I just needed to have that time because I'm alone by myself in an airport somewhere. Anyway, take a moment to say hey to Moses Vincent. We know we love you and your wife and your son.
Hey guys.
And then we got a LinkedIn user who really likes what we're saying. And Terrence asked a great question: is the pandemic affecting Christian marriages as well?
Oh my goodness.
Yes. You would be surprised, Terrence. I had a minister who I've been talking to, a minister, and the impact. Yes, it impacts everybody who aren't used.
But you know what I think?
What's that?
I think because you are a Christian, whatever that means to you, that perhaps you should not have those same issues. I think the issues are the same, but how you respond to them.
Yes.
Okay, not react, right?
The difference between respond and react. React is negative, respond is positive. You have, I think, a medication.
Use some of that word.
You take a medication, you have a reaction.
The issue.
Oh my God, I had a reaction. But you take a medication and you respond. Oh, they had a positive response. Okay, go ahead. Mm-hmm. So selfishness and self-centeredness. That's one of the ones we talk about. We've gotten letters about. What do you do when your spouse, you're having a conversation about this over here, and somehow it draws back to your spouse and their needs.
Now, here's what I said to you, because he's the one who's actually getting it. I think that they speak to you first because you have more of a counseling stance, and I'm more of a warrior, and I just kind of want to just. I think that's what it is. They will talk to you about it. Yeah. They won't talk to me.
Well, the women will talk to you about things that they will.
Yes.
Women will talk to you about women things that are very interesting and very interesting. But in terms of the couple issue, I tend to get the counseling, and I talk to.
But you are a counselor, and you have that.
I have a master's in counseling, so I did have a counseling background.
And I have a degree in
cutting people's throats. Gangster. You're gangster.
So here's what I would say about that. This is what I'm saying. I'm like, because I wrote down some ideas.
All right.
You really only know one side of the story. That's the whole thing. When people come to you primarily and say, I have this issue with this person, my spouse has died me. And then when you talk to me, I say, you know what? You really are only hearing one side of the story. Yeah. And then I said, the commonality is that this thing is happening with this person. Has it happened before?
Yeah. Yeah. Some people have issues that they carry with them. Okay. They have issues. So self-centeredness is focus. So let me read, for those, you probably heard us read this quote before, but it's so profound. And yesterday I went to Asbury United Methodist Church, where this couple were iconic. They were pillars of the church. And that's why I got to know them as I grew up. I grew up there. And yesterday was their 185th church anniversary, 185 years. Wow.
For Asbury.
Asbury. Be considerate. This is from chapter number 5. Leave the drama with your mama. Drama antidote number 3. Be considerate. if you want to stay happily married, you must learn to be considerate of your spouse. You must think about your spouse as much as you think about yourself, said marriage veteran Herman Thompson. Herman and his wife Claudia had been married or were married for over 50 years. He passed away last year. They shared a story with us about being considerate that happened when they were first married and has helped them to stay happily married. Herman said his mother was well known as a great cook. All his siblings and many of his friends made it a common practice to stop by in the evenings to taste her culinary creations. When Herman was newly married, he stopped by his mother's house after work to check on her one evening, and all of his siblings and many of his friends were there and were in great anticipation of his mother's dinner for that evening. When she put the dinner on the table, Herman pulled up a chair as he had normally done when he was living there. But his mother said, no, not you. You do not eat without your new wife being here as well. You are married now. You need to go home and see if your wife has cooked dinner. If she has, you eat what she cooked. If she has not cooked dinner, then you bring her back here and the two of you eat together. Now that you are married, you must think about her and her feelings as much as you think about you and your feelings. From that day on, Herman honored his mother's lesson and always thought of his wife as he thought about himself. He said that was one of the best lessons he could ever have learned to help him establish a successful marriage that lasted over 55 years. When he passed away, she asked me to come and say a few words and sing a song, one of his favorite songs. And she said, we had a great marriage from the beginning through the end. I have no regrets. It was fabulous. It was wonderful. He was kind to me. And folks, that's about not being self-centered and being selfish. But, that's a learning. He did not, if his mother had not taught him or given him that lesson, he might have gone on coming over eating dinner without his wife.
So what do? Okay, so you have one person who's saying, oh, I'm going to learn how to be considerate, because that is a learned thing.
It's a learned thing.
Sometimes you kind of pop out being it, I think.
Well,
but much of it is learned,
yes.
And it's environmental too.
Yes, that's right.
But what if the other person, and like I said, first of all, you're only hearing one side of the story.
It's his side, her side, and the real truth.
Yeah, but you really only heard his side.
I heard his side, right.
So how do you, number one, you need to deal with maybe why is the spouse considered self-centered?
Why? What is? I know you got research on it. I know, we can tell you. I can tell you all the things that people got, and we come right out of the book. But she got the research because she's an intellectual.
I'm just saying, you got to think about it.
What did you learn? And okay.
People come in with
give me the research. You going beating around the beach, going in.
So you need to ask yourself, if you study, number one, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
You need to study your mate.
Yes.
Okay.
We did talk about that.
You need to study your mate. They might not. You say, well, why are they acting that way? Maybe it's something in their background. Maybe you should.
Well, this guy who called me, his wife was the only child.
Oh, okay. Let's go to that.
All right.
The first thing they said, how do you know that your spouse is selfish? What makes you think that?
They hadn't been in a position where they had to share the sandbox.
Okay.
All their lives.
So they might have grown up.
Not saying all only children. I know some only children who are just as sweet and kind and caring.
Okay.
But some are not.
That was a good answer. They might have been an only child. So they really didn't have to share.
Right.
Now, my brother and I, we're almost 5 years apart.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So initially, when I say I was only child for almost 5 years.
Yeah.
So my perspective and everything on life, in terms of everything neatly put away, everything is looking very different than my brother who tore everything.
Or her brother.
Like,
and they're two different people. She's an introvert. He's an extreme extrovert.
So if you're only child and you've had no other experiences about sharing, that how your behavior is just perfectly normal for you.
Okay.
Or the other end of the
other
spectrum,
extreme,
where you have lots of brothers and sisters, and you have to fight at the trough to eat. Now, somebody has said that to me because when we eat, me and William, as we were somewhere, and William would take food off of our plate.
Yeah, somebody said, "What?"
What? I was like, if William wants to take something on my plate,
we share.
Yeah.
So we were somewhere and we bought one meal and we shared it. And they said,
and
"Oh
some
my,
other dishes." They said,
oh my God,
no,
oh no!"
I can't have anybody put their fork in my food. I grew up, and you had to protect your food. I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
So that's the other extreme.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
All people were raised by selfish parents
Right.
who didn't give. And we want to
So
be
if
givers.
you're saying that your spouse is selfish, you have to look at where they came from. Or I think you should have known that in the beginning.
But don't go there. Don't go.
Let us never assume.
That's
So
right.
now you got to look at their cultural, their environment, where they came from.
Okay.
Now, next you talk about the cultural impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is purely sexist. In some cultures, the men are considered the superior being, and so they're not going to do the laundry. They're not going to cook the meal, right?
I love that quote we heard yesterday about the lady who was the writer who became one of the head writers. She wrote for Good Times.
Oh yes,
and she was one of the
she was
first,
the funniest person in the room and the only woman. And she would talk about. She said, when God created man and then He created woman. Well, everybody knows that if you're a writer, that the first draft is the practice, and then the masterpiece. Then you get it right the next time around.
The masterpiece comes after that. I'm good with that because my wife is brilliant. She's beautiful, as you can see. She is tough.
And I defer to you. How about that?
Yes, you at the kind of. I said today.
Humor works.
I said the other day we were somewhere, we were riding. I said, you want to control me, and the reason we've been together all this time is because I'm able to hold my own and not.
I do respect that.
You do respect.
I do respect that. Even though I always think I'm right.
Look, Terrence got a good question. You're selfish when you will not call for dinner, takeout. And what do a home cooked meal look like these days? Oh, I miss the smells of food cooking in the home. He said Jesus, he said, Lord have mercy, Jesus, help us. So people who are not thinking of their spouse. So what we do is often when I go to buy something, and now she's a vegan. So when I buy, I don't eat red meat, but when I say I buy a chicken sandwich, okay,
salmon is the thing.
Salmon. And I'll say to her, do you want a little piece? Or I order her a little piece, or I order something that would even though I know she's not going to eat much of it. Or when we go to a restaurant.
It's just being thoughtful.
Trying to make sure she's got her part. I'm thinking of her while I'm thinking of self. And I think that's the key. And now how do you help somebody who doesn't get it? How do you help them?
So maybe you have to remind them.
You have to condition and remind
That's a good word.
Condition and remind them of how you like, what you like to be treated, how works for you.
And I have an example of that.
Yeah.
Because when we married and I would go out to run an errand or do something, and you would say, "Oh, where are you?"
Yes.
Oh, you didn't tell me you were going. I was like, "Oh, why do I have to tell you where I'm going?" I'm newly married. I've been single all these years, lived on my own. Okay, this is the second marriage. All this other stuff going on. I'm like, "Well, why do I have to tell you where I'm going?" And your response was?
My response, I just was concerned about you.
So then it got me to thinking, oh, okay. When I go out or I'm going to run an errand or something, I need to share where I'm going and what I'm doing. And we do that for each other.
And we invite each other.
That's a learned thing.
Yesterday morning, her car was in the shop. Where you want me to take you? Let's go to the gym together. Okay, I'm going on a gym ride. gym run, my room. Why don't you come with me? I invite her. Now she'll say, well, I don't want to go. I want to go. Or I'll say, we're going on a ride.
I'm going to say that I'm going to go.
Oh, I said,
I said I adjusted myself because I didn't have my car, and I knew that you're being thoughtful. You would take me to the gym, but I would not ask you to take me at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Thank God, hallelujah!
Out of your head,
I'm out of my head
because you can't function that early in the morning. So I would not ask you to do something that is so out of.
But let's take something out. Let's just take a normal, regular. I'm on my way, let's say, to, one evening I said, I'm going to go to Walmart or something. I said, you want to go? And you say, yeah, I want to go. Let's ride. And we'll go for a ride, okay? She'll just go with me. I'm saying to you folks, I want you to be mindful and condition behaviors. And when you see them doing well and say, I would like to go with you. And when they say, and condition that, now how do you condition it? Well,
invite me. Oh, you going out?
Yeah.
Can I ride with you? I just want to hang out with you.
Yeah, the more we hang out, the more we enjoy hanging out. And we just like being together, okay? And we want more couples to get this, how they can get this. So
don't complain.
Yeah.
If the things are not working. Don't say you. What is it that we say? You want to say, this is how that makes me feel. When you leave and you're just running out, it'd be nice. It would make me feel good if you would just ask me if I want to go. I might not really want to go, but it makes me feel good.
I asked her,
me,
do you want to go with me? And she almost always says, yes.
Yes, I'll go with you.
I'll go with me. Except if I'm going somewhere where there are people, crowded people. No, I don't want to go because she ain't past the pandemic. She's right in.
I bought 2 hazmat suits. I ordered 2 hazmat suits. One came in. I'm like, that little disposable thing, I have to send that one back. So I'm waiting for my second hazmat.
I think your second one came in today.
Yes.
So anyway, our time is almost up. We try and keep it to 30 minutes because we want you to want more, okay? We don't want to weigh you out. We do want to have some seminars, and we got to just get our head around it. I say it every week. Look, I'm going to stop saying it. Go to jollymarriage.com. Get 2 copies of the book. 2 copies of the book. And
we'll be putting up article summaries.
2 copies of the book. 2 copies of the book. Jollymarriage.com. Get 2 copies. Get the whole bundle. Somebody bought the bundle just recently. The 2 books, the 2 workbooks, the audio book, and the CD seminar. Get that. It will help your marriage. I guarantee it.
Give it as a gift to somebody.
And then bless somebody with one of the books after the 2 of you have read it and gone through it, okay? Make this a great marriage year. The rest of the year, the best of the year. Hey, I want to thank y'all all. And remember, tell everybody you know. Thank you, Terrence, for saying to share this. Thank you all for joining in. And we found so many people now are watching this in the replay. They say, I can't watch Monday night, but I want the lesson. I want to thank my friend Biddy Clark, and Dexter Clark, who said they watch it every Monday, or Tuesday, or Wednesday, because they've got some things.
So you're going to end with music.
Oh, here we go.
Learning how to be.
Here we go. We're going to go out with the way we came in with some of my music and enjoy yourself. Follow you all around, just like me. They love to be close to you. Why do birds suddenly appear? See y'all. Have a great evening and a great week. Just like me. This is Dr. Willie and Dee Jolley.
And this is Jolley.
Jolly out.
Stars fall down from the sky every time you walk by. Just like me, they long to be close to you. Whoa, whoa, whoa! On the day that you were born,
see ya.
Together, decided to create our dream come true. So, whoa, whoa, whoa!
Oh, I gotta go. I would hit the wrong thing. All right. All right. God bless y'all. Have a great week on purpose. See y'all. Bye bye.